Welcome to Maximising Efficiency with Dex. I'm once again joined by Paul Loddett, and today we're going to be looking at how to handle a VAT-only invoice in Dex Prepare. So I'm going to hand over straight to Paul.
Perfect. Thank you, Max. So I'm going to run through what you need to do in Dex to deal with a VAT-only invoice, and then I'm going to hand it back to Max just to show you. We're going to use Xero as part of our integration here, what the transactions are in Xero as well. So if I just share my screen. So what we have is I've uploaded this VAT-only invoice. It's just something I've very quickly created. And we can see that the VAT-only element is £100. Now, if you were to upload that document into Dext, it will pull out the total amount, but it will go as to net £100. Tax amount is shown as 0. What you can't allow in Dext is a tax amount to be greater than the net amount. And this is to do with the integrations, because you can't create a VAT-only invoice in Xero in this example as well. So what we'll do is just jump to the same document. And the first thing you need to do to be able to deal with it is the total amount is still 100, but just type in the tax amount as 100. So the net amount is now 0. But what is absolutely critically important to ensure this all works is you've got to manually create some line items to be able to correctly reflect the VAT-only element. And if we just jump into our line items, what I've done is I've created a line item for 20% VAT on expenses. So I've put in the net amount being £500. That automatically calculates the tax at 100, which is the figure we want. Total gross amount 600, and then I've created another line because we need to make sure that we negate that net element. We don't want to start messing with our ledgers or the amount due to the supplier. 0 rated expenses, negative 500, and what we can see here is we now have totals being £100, the total amount due to the supplier, with that full £100 being reflected within the VAT column. I'm now going to jump over to Xero, and Max is just going to demonstrate to you or run through with you what that actually means within Xero. So I've already published this invoice. So if we jump into Xero, and I'll hand over to Max.
Perfect. So yeah, like Paul's mentioned there, we've had an invoice there. We need to pay our accountant maybe, or our accounts bill, and we only need to pay the VAT amount over there. So the first thing we need to consider is the nominal effectively. So we need to jump into our audit and accounts nominal just to make sure that we've not, put anything to that nominal, because we've not actually incurred any more accounts expense, or we've incurred is an additional VAT charge. So if we looked at our period there for audit and accounts, which we'll just jump into now, what we should see is effectively a net nil figure there. So as you can see, that line item transaction there has effectively negated the cost of audit and accounts, and there's no further cost in there as they cancel each other out, which is exactly what we want to see. Then if we jumped into that supplier, so we look at the mighty Paul Loddett Consultancy Services, and what you should see in there is we don't owe £600 or £500 or anything like that. We only owe them £100, which is just the amount of that VAT extra charge, which is correct. And then finally, we're going to jump into our VAT return just to make sure everything is correct. And what we'll see is when we create that return, what you'll see there in box 4 is there's an extra £100 worth of VAT for us to claim that we've been charged. But what you'll also see is that in box 7, they'll cancel each other out. So there's not an additional sort of expense recorded on that return, and it's only the VAT element there. So we're happy with that VAT return. Everything's perfect. We've claimed back that sweet £100, and then we're ready to do the filing there. So that is how you work around getting that VAT only invoice through Dex Prepare and into your Xero accounts nice and efficiently. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.